Wow, it's you, my friends from South Africa. Fantastic. What a place to be meeting you here on Mount Barkan on the Gilboa Range with this incredible view right under our feet. You don't get a view like this in South Africa, I'm sure. And if I could take you back to our biblical roots, much of our Bible is over here. I can see in the distance on Mount Carmel where Elijah would have met the other prophets, on Mount Carmel over there. We've also got Mount Tabor where Barak and Deborah, the prophet, are going to rally their troops to fight the enemy. And on this mountain where we are at the moment, we're going to have Saul's final battle. He's going to be losing the battle, he's going to be retreating up the hill. And on the side of the hill is where he's going to commit suicide. He's going to fall on his sword because he doesn't wish to be caught by the enemy. Across the valley is water. Below us is the Harod River, and the Harod River is going to be flowing eastwards all the way down to the Jordan Valley. An incredible thing, because today we're going to also be following the water and we're going to be seeing what was done with this water. We're going to go through 3,000 years of history. We're going to see incredible things. We're going to have different stations on the way. We're starting here in the Gilboa. We're going to go down to Beit Sha'an to see the wonders that Beit Sha'an was able to give us. From there we're going to see the incredible history, modern history of modern Zionism. The fact that these lands, which were total swamps, are now, as you can see, such fertile land, fish ponds, water is collected. We're also going to hear other stories which tie 3,000 years ago with today. We're going to meet Gideon, and we're going to see the way that he is able to choose a commando force. And it's going to remind us of things which happened 70, 80 years ago. So my friends, you know the rules. We're going to be outside the whole day under the sun. We all need hats. Don't forget to fill your water bottles with whiskey. We don't want to dehydrate. All right, is everybody ready? Guys, hats on your heads, let's go. My friends, do you remember before we spoke about Gideon, that famous soldier? Gideon, at the base of the Gilboa Mountains, in the Ein Harod spring down at the bottom, chooses from 10,000 soldiers 300 commandos. And with these 300 commandos, he destroys the enemy camp, the Midians, and that's going to be the end of their story. On this mountain itself, don't forget, that King David is the one who laments Saul and his sons, and he curses the mountain, that nothing should be able to grow on this mountain ever again. And it's as if we, as the JNF, actually come and we ask the agreement of the mountain once again to be able to allow trees to be planted. And as you can see, the planting of the forests and the woods over here, absolutely incredible. But that's also part and part of the new settlement. That's part and part of modern Zionism. Because down there in the valley, which was swampland and nobody wanted it, the Sarsuk family are so happy to sell it in the 1920s to the Jews, helped in the purchasing also by the JNF KKL. And history goes from there 3,000 years ago with Gideon. Because Gideon realizes he's got to protect the Jewish people. And in the previous century, in the 20th century, we have Orde Wingate, that famous British officer who's prepared to establish here in Israel the night squads, the special night squads, to be able to protect the new Jewish settlements which are going to be built on this reclaimed land, all the way from Nir David over there. We've got Kfar Yechezkel, we've got Ein Harod. And that is modern history before your eyes that you can see now. The good news that when you actually purchase land in the 1920s from the Sarsuk family, we are able to have agricultural land which is changing the swamps. There's now kibbutzim and moshavim being established. There is new people coming to live and work on the land, and that's the good side of it. But as the years go past, in the 50s and 60s, nobody really takes care of the notion of pollution. And unfortunately, very soon in the 60s and 70s, this area, Nachal Harod, which is behind me, suddenly becomes the backyard of the north of Israel. About 10-15 years ago, a government group of different bodies, including the JNF KKL, are the ones to start the rehabilitation of this water. And as we can see today, the water has been cleared up. The area is nice and beautiful. The water smells good. The area is now open for cycling, for hiking, for people who want to be able to view the birds. An absolutely beautiful area, and much to do is because of the help of JNF KKL today. And so, by the end of the day, the backyard of the north of Israel has suddenly become the front yard for everything to be enjoyed. Behind me, we have an ancient bridge, and it is called the Bridge of Kantara. In Arabic, Kantara is an arch, and as you can see, there are 3 arches, 1, 2, 3. The third one to the right has fallen and has been rehabilitated, but not built to the full. And on top of this ancient bridge, there's what is known as an aqueduct, which is transporting water from one place to another. Let's go up there and see what there is. So you remember I mentioned that an aqueduct moves water from place A to place B. Should we go and see where the water goes? Yalla, follow me. So you remember the waters in Nachal Harod, in the Harod River? They come all the way down here to Skytopolis, to the Roman city. We call it Beit Sha'an. And here there's a bathhouse. In this bathhouse, you can have a massage, you can have a hot bath, a cold bath, you can do some sports. This is the place really to spoil yourselves. Who's going to come with me? Who's going to have a good time? So if you remember the story we told about Saul on the Gilboa, so at the end of the battle, his body is found and those of his sons, they are brought to this city of Beit Sha'an. They'll be put on the city walls, and that's a terrible story. Beit Sha'an is located at the crossroads of north and south, east and west, also the crossings over the River Jordan. Beit Sha'an has plentiful water, as we've seen with the Roman bathhouses. The agricultural hinterland makes this a very, very wealthy area. And Beit Sha'an will continue to survive till 749. Because in 749 there's an earthquake and the city is leveled and will never really be resettled ever till we've come back today. The Roman town of Skytopolis will receive all the best amenities as in every Roman city. We've had the bathhouses, I've had my bath. Behind me is the theatre, and some of the best shows go on over here. Beit Sha'an also has some of the biggest temples and is even referred to as the entrance to paradise. All the things around here are so beautiful. A couple of minutes, there will be the best show in the Middle East. I want to invite you to come with me inside to see the show. We've just left Beit Sha'an, and as a Roman, if you'd have asked me that I need to go all the way to Damascus, how would I do it? So I've got to cross the River Jordan. And where do I cross it? Of course, at a Roman bridge which has been built by the Romans, a Roman road going all the way across the River Jordan, going up towards Damascus. But the truth is that at this very site that we're standing, and it is called Gesher, and Gesher means bridge, there are 3 bridges. Let's go and see the 3 bridges and try to understand the sequence. This is the first bridge, it's the Roman bridge. Towards the end of the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire decides to build a railway running for all the Muslim parts of their empire. And part of the offshoot is from Haifa in that direction, coming across the River Jordan, and will continue on to Damascus. And behind us will be the second bridge which is built. The first is the Roman, this is the second. On it, the railway going all the way between Haifa and to Damascus in the east. So when the British arrived, they built a third bridge, and no longer do we need to travel by train. In fact, we can go by bus. Driver, to Gesher. And at this location, where there are 3 bridges going across the River Jordan, a kibbutz is established in the 1920s. Young people from Europe and in the 1930s from Germany established here a kibbutz. On the banks of the River Jordan, they are going to fight against nature, trying to build a kibbutz, which they do. However, in 1948, the kibbutz ceases to exist. Not because it's conquered or anything like that, but this place where we're sitting is going to be the front line, because across the River Jordan will come 2 armies, the biggest one being the Iraqi army, and also with the help of the Arab Legion, they're going to try to enter Israel across the bridges through the kibbutz and get into Israel proper. Young people living here are not prepared to give up. At the end of the battle, the Jordanians and the Iraqis will return across the border back into Jordan, but the kibbutz is in ruins. And in fact, the kibbutz will be rebuilt, not here, but on the hill further to the west. And that is the story, the bravery of young people in those days. Let's go and visit the children's home. Under where I'm standing is where the main bunker of the kibbutz was. Let's go and see the light and sound show in the Chadar Ochel, in the dining room. Follow me.
At nightfall, 2 teams made up of the special night squads quickly ran across the road.
We jumped over the fence, ran to the north entrance of the building, and went inside. The Bashkirians had already been here since 1920, and those from the Kutzat Achdut.
From the Noar HaOved movement and Yuthaliat groups from Germany who arrived in 1939, and also the illegal immigrants. I was a medic. I was at my post, just 30 meters away. He had to approach in complete silence, so he took off his shoes and crawled up to each bridge and planted the explosives under the arches.
Two bridges were blown up, but the ancient bridge Jisr al-Majmeh.
Nothing. It remained there.
Across the River Jordan, approximately a kilometre away from here is a large building. That is the Rothenburg hydroelectric plant at Naharaim, harnessing the waters of the River Jordan and the Yamuch River, using the power of water to create electricity for this area. It ceases to exist in 1948 when it was captured by the Jordanians and the Iraqis. And it used, by the way, tremendous amounts of water in reservoirs. If we're really talking about water, let's go and see another project that the JNF KKL and from South Africa are participants in.
Dear friends of South Africa, I hope you enjoyed your trip so far. This is our second virtual tour and I'm delighted to have you with us. There is no doubt that your fantastic contribution of this reservoir is assisting Kibbutz Gesher as well as the residents of Israel to manage the water economy in Israel. I sincerely hope to see you here soon in Israel visiting the reservoir live, and thank you again for your marvelous donation.
So we've left the Beit She'an region, we've gone into the Galil, and we're at the Golani Junction. In fact, we are at the JNF KKL nursery, and here's where they actually prepare the small trees that will be planted in the forests. And if we're lucky, we're going to meet the manager of the nursery. His name is Hiroi. He's an incredible guy. And the two of us, if we're lucky, we're going to be planting an oak in your honor. Hey my friend, how are you doing? מה שלומך?
בסדר גמור, מה שלומך?
הכל טוב, הכל טוב, ברוך
ברוך הבא
השם.
למשתלת צומת גולני של קרן קיימת לישראל.
מה אנחנו עושים היום?
היום אנחנו הולכים לנטוע אלון תבור לפני השנה שמיטה.
Let's go and plant it.
בבקשה.
בואו, בבקשה.
כך הולכים השוטלים, רונה בלבת ביד.
זה האלון תבור
אלון
של
תבור
7
של-
חודשים,
כן.
ותסתכל את מערכת השורשים, איך הם מפותחים. ברגע
יפה.
שאתה שם אותם בתוך האדמה,
הוא כבר...
מתפתח ככה,
כן.
וככה למטה, ועולה למעלה, אתה מבין? באיזשהו שלב אתה מגיע, אתה יושב.
ואתם נותנים מים בהתחלה?
כל יום הוא מקבל מים.
אבל שם, אחרי שאנחנו נשתות...
אחרי שאתם נותנים אותו, אנחנו כאילו נשקה אותו לפי הצורך של השתיל.
כן, שנה, שנתיים, משהו כזה?
לא, עד 3 שנים, עד שהוא יתבסס.
הבנתי.
אחר כך ברגע שהוא מפתח מערכת השורשים, הוא יכול גם לספוג את המים
מים מהקרקע בעצמו.
מהקרקע בעצמו, הוא
כן.
מעביר לקצה של העלה שם.
איזה יופי. יפה. ובסך הכל 7 חודשים.
בסך הכל 7 חודשים. בואו נלך בבקשה לנטע בשטח.
בבקשה,
יש הכל מוכן.
בבקשה.
נשים אותם.
כן.
ונטוע אותם.
Together with Honor Twig, we're going to be planting a tree in the honor of South African JNF KKL. The Golani Nursery, in fact, is part of the Lavi forest. And the word Lavi, the name Lavi, is mentioned in Mishnaic and Talmudic times 1700 years ago approximately. The name there is Lubia. But in Hebrew and in Old Hebrew, the B and the V do interchange. Lavi is the modern name. And in the 1950s, a forest was planted here by JNF KKL using the old methods, the old pine trees, the needles. They were planted over here. But over time, the forest ages. And in the winter of 1991 to 1992, a devastating winter, in fact, brought many of the trees down. It took a couple of years for the JNF KKL to actually make a decision to start replanting and renewing the forest. And they've done that. Since 2007 onwards, a whole new type of tree has been planted here in this area. In fact, the trees are the same type of trees which naturally come in the Mediterranean, Middle Eastern forest. And the type of trees we see will be the oak, the Tavor oak, the pistachia. We're also talking about the carob and other type of trees which are natural to this area. And that is very refreshing. We're not bringing in the pine trees, but we're bringing in the Israeli Mediterranean tree, and that is what's going to be part of the new Lavi forest for a long time to come. The Lavi forest was adopted by South African JNF, and through your contributions, this forest has flourished over the years and continues to flourish. In fact, in the forest itself, also 3 playgrounds were created, and one of them is for special needs kids. Really a very refreshing thing to see. And in the direction over there has been built also a memorial to Jewish boys from South Africa who came to Israel and served in the Israeli army and unfortunately were killed. A very significant and respectful memorial. And in the Lavi forest are one of 5 special field and forest educational centers. Israeli children and also youth from over the world come and learn about nature and forests. There's also a campsite at the place where both Israeli and foreign youth are able to come to spend time in nature, under the trees. A very special place.
Dear friends of South Africa, we're standing here today at the Golani Junction Dedication Center. It's a fantastic opportunity to thank you for your kind donations throughout the years to the Laviv Forest and the area itself.
Emek HaChula, what a dramatic story. Over 100 years ago, the first Jewish people turn up here and they have to fight the swamps and malaria, a disease which wipes out generations of people. As time goes on, they manage to conquer the malaria by fighting the mosquitoes, the use of DDT. However, with the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, they realize there's a lack of agricultural land. And a national project is started using the JNF KKL, and they will dry out the swampland, creating something like 60,000 dunam of arable soil. And for the first couple of years, it's fantastic. The soils work. However, with time and with the lack of management, the soil, the peat soil, starts drying out and breaking down. The water level drops, and so does the level of the soil. The soil starts breaking up. There are dust storms, there are fires, but worse than anything, a pollution of nitrates and potassium starts flowing into the Kinneret south of us. It takes some time to think what to do, but they realize that they need to rehydrate the area. And with the help of the JNF KKL, during the 1990s, a whole series of canals are dug and allowing water to flow in and to hydrate the soil. The peat soil starts returning to what it was. And having seen all the agriculture around, we can see it works. Beyond which, animals which have disappeared and birds and migrating birds which never returned have started coming back. This area has become a Garden of Eden, and with proper management, this will be a centre of tourism and for bird watching. Known worldwide, people will be coming here in their hundreds of thousands to be able to enjoy nature at its very best. מעוז ברון, מנהל אגמון החולה קק"ל, מה שלומך?
שלומי מצוין, מה שלומך?
אני בסדר ואני שמח להיות כאן. תגיד לי, אנחנו מוקפים בכאלו הרים מדהימים. איפה אנחנו נמצאים?
אנחנו נמצאים באזור הכי יפה במדינת ישראל, בגליל העליון, באזור עמק החולה, בעצם בפארק שקרן קיימת לישראל בעשורים האחרונים פיתחה באופן יוצא מן הכלל.
יש איזו מיסקונספציה בחינוך היום, כאילו הקק"ל הציף את המקום מחדש.
הוא לא נכון, בייחוד מהמקום שרואים פה שיש פה עשרות אלפי דונמים שמשמשים היום לחקלאות, מנצלים ומשתמשים ומשביחים את אדמת הכבול, שהיא בעצם היסטורית באזור הזה של השבר הסורי-אפריקאי, עם איזושהי התהוות וולקנית שהייתה בהיסטוריה הרחוקה. ובעצם גם היום, המקום היחידי, לפחות בישראל, שיודעים איך, שיש בו אזור של כבול, שיודעים איך להתמודד איתו, שיודעים לשמור על גובה מי תהום, ולהפיק בעצם בגידולים רבים שעושים פה החקלאים של הקיבוצים והמושבים מהסביבה, להפיק גם מהאזור הזה חקלאות.
אם אני לא טועה, יש לכם לפחות איזה 500 מיליארד מבקרים בשנה.
בגלל המיקום הגיאוגרפי, בגלל השבר הסורי-אפריקאי, שמדינת ישראל נמצאת באיזשהו ציר עיקרי של נדידת ציפורים בין רוסיה לאתיופיה, עם עונות השנה, אז עוברות פה, ממש מעלינו פה, 500 מיליארד ציפורים בשנה. בעת הזאת, עשרות מינים ומאות אלפי ציפורים שנמצאות כרגע היום באגמון החולה קק"ל. והיום יש פה פארק מדהים עם מרכז מבקרים שנמצא מאחורינו. כל הזמן אנחנו בשלבים של פיתוח על מנת לייצר פה חוויית מבקרים עשירה, נעימה, בטוחה, מעניינת, מלמדת. אזור מדהים, מרגישים כמה כיף פה.
מעוז ברון, אני מודה לך מאוד. אנחנו עוד ניפגש. פשוט מדהים.
אשמח לארח אותך.
תודה.
תודה רבה.
ולהתראות.
תודה, בריין.
להתראות. Bye bye. So there are so many ways to be able to visit Agmon Achula and to be able to view 500 million birds per year. We've got over here a tractor with a hideout. Is everybody ready? We're going to go in the tractor in a hideout. I want to tell you, do not stick your arms outside, it's dangerous. Everybody inside, let's have a good time. And another method of seeing the Agmon is by bicycle. But that's for the fit guys. And the third way of seeing Agmon Achula, go-karts, and this is for the lazy ones. With a view of the Golan Heights behind me, I've got to say we're coming to the end of a perfect day. We started our tour today in the Gilboa Mountains. We heard about Bible stories. We heard about the first Jews who purchased land in Ein Harod. We heard about water. We heard how in ancient times water was taken from springs and brought via aqueducts to a major city. In fact, we even went for a bath together. Do you remember? I tried not to look, but I did, and I saw you all. We all had a bath together. We also heard that over the years, despite advance in agriculture, we tended to forget about pollution. And unfortunately, some of the rivers in the area became polluted. With the help of the JNFKKL, the whole area, Nachal Harod, has been cleared up and is now a beautiful place to be able to walk along. We also went, if you remember, to that kibbutz, Gesher, and we wanted to go across the River Jordan. We couldn't make a decision. Do we take the Roman bridge, or the Ottoman bridge, or maybe the British Railway? But nonetheless, we stood there at the side, we saw the movie in the kibbutz Gesher, we heard the story of how they stand on the frontier against Iraqi and Jordanian forces, and they hold out. From there, we went further north and we came to Summit Golani, we came to the Golani Junction. We visited the Laviv forest. We also planted a Tavor oak in your honor. We spoke to the head manager of the tree nursery over there, an incredible guy. And from there we came further north and we're here in Emek Achula with the heights of the Golan behind us. A truly perfect day. So my friends, I hope that the next tour we have will be a real tour and not a virtual one, so that when we come to the end of a perfect day, we can sit together and have a cold beer. And that's what I'm dreaming about now. Please God, look after yourselves, and I hope that in good health, in the near future, when all this Corona and COVID is finished, we'll be together. All the best. God bless you.